Greetings and welcome once more to the Danklit Podcast. I'm your host, horror author and Gothic connoisseur Stanley J. Winter, and today do I have a dark delight for you. It is none other than The Monk by Mathew Lewis. I'm going to be reading my favourite extract from The Monk by Mathew Lewis, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the background as well. So, first of all, apologies for the sound on the last video, the Titus Andronicus video. It was a little bit distorted. I think part of that is part of it's me being rubbish with technology and still experimenting with these lapel mics that I've got. Part of it as well is that I have, I think, a very nasally voice, especially when I read certain dramatic parts of the extract. I like to go a bit... and that can kind of cut out a little bit, can distort a little bit. I think I just naturally have a distorted voice, which is cool in a way, but it can be a bit off-putting to some listeners. So I'm going to try and talk a bit quieter, hopefully sound be a bit better, but it is a work in progress. Bear in mind as well that these podcasts are not going to be edited. Now, the reason for that, it's not because I'm lazy, it's not because I don't respect my listeners. I want everyone to enjoy these podcasts. It is just purely because of time. I want to be consistent in putting these out. And my main focus is always going to be writing and storytelling. I just want to talk about, in a more kind of conversational way, the books that I really like, that have inspired me, and read some of my favorite extracts. I really like reading out loud, and I really like kind of focusing in, as I've said before, on the darkest, nastiest bits of text that often might not be as well known or might not be celebrated quite so much. So the other thing is that obviously because of copyright, I can only pick texts that are in the public domain. So everything I pick is probably going to be from the 17, 18, early 1900s. I think that's fine because it's the best shit anyway, in my opinion. If, however, you are an author and you want me to read something that you have written and I like it, do get in touch in the comments and or drop me an email at Gmail, enter the dank, and I can I'll put the email in the show notes. You can also leave me a comment on my website, www.enterthedank.com. And if I like it, I'll read out an extract and talk about that. Okay. The other thing I want to talk about before we get into The Monk is the Saga of Maudlines. So this is my zine that I've written, and it's narrated by my arch nemesis, the Warlock of the Northern Dank, who is a kind of evil murderer / warlock who narrates stories and in the world known as the Dank. This is about a peasant called Maudline who turns into a kind of spider monster. It's very cool. It is a horror quest, and it also incorporates a lot of kind of 80s heavy metal aesthetics, which I really like, as well as some folk horror kind of vibes as well. So these are £6.66. You can get these from our website, www.enterthedank.com. You can also get yourself a hat while you're there. Enter the Dank. Check out those too. Anyway, without further ado, on with the show. So, Mathew Lewis, The Monk. This was released in 1796, and it was very scandalous upon its release. It's not hard to imagine why. We think about what society was like in 1796, okay? This book is full of horrific shit. There's rape, there's incest, there's bleeding nuns, there's religious perversion, there is everything. It's got it all the nasty, horrible stuff, murder, matricide, all that stuff, and this is written back in 1796. It caused a scandal, and it kind of deviated as well from the other Gothic romances of the time. You had people like Anne Radcliffe writing The Mysteries of Udolpho and The Italian, but they were romances in that they were about chivalrous knights, heroines, plucky heroines, and any supernatural elements were pretty much explained away. Whereas this book delved more into out and out horror. In fact, you could argue maybe that it's the first horror explicit horror novel in a sense, because it doesn't shy away from the nastiness, the gory details, and that's why I like it. Some people obviously moaned at the time. Coleridge was one of them. He had a good whinge saying it was immoral and obscene, and some people blamed its graphic, sensational content on the emotional immaturity of Mathew Lewis. But I like a bit of emotional immaturity, and therefore I think this is great. Thank God for Mathew Lewis. He was very young when he wrote it, though, and he was also an MP. I think he was about 20. So imagine, you think about what 20-year-olds are like. I could barely cook fish fingers at 20. And Mathew Lewis, though, was an MP and wrote this. So, yeah, credit to him and credit to the past. So, he was inspired to write this by the work of the artist Hieronymus Bosch, who was a Dutch painter of the 1500s, I want to say. And all his scenes are they're like a Where's Wally of hell, right? They depict like sin, fucking devils, everything you can imagine, like a sort of tapestry of filth. Okay, and he was really inspired by the kind of moral decay, the corruption of that, and even this cover of my copy of the Monk is like the worst ever. It's just a yellow looking, I guess it looks a bit devious, Machiavellian looking dude on the cover. I think it's a bit shit though. The best one is the one with a snippet, a kind of screenshot almost of like a cropped image of one of Bosch's paintings of like a naked dude caught kind of flailing in the wind, and he's been carried by his ankles by this sort of four-horned devil, and that's what you want on the cover of the Monk, not this shit. Anyway, it's what we've got to work with. It's the only one I've got. So it's inspired by Hieronymus Bosch, and it's of course a critique of the Catholic Church, like so many of the Gothic novels, and it really embraces the aesthetic of Europe. It's set Catholic Europe. It's set in Spain, Madrid, mostly, and yeah, it very much is a critique of the Catholic Church. It's about the fall of a monk. So the novel begins. Ambrosio, makes you think of custard, doesn't it? Ambrosio is like, he's not just a monk, he's the monk, right? He's like the king of all monks. He arrived at a monastery when he was a baby. He was just dropped off mysteriously, and the monks raised him to be one of their order, and he excelled at everything. He was like the perfect, most pious monk, and he also became a really good orator. He was a very good speaker, and he would he would like wow crowds with his talk. He would convert people. He would really make people believe in the scripture. People would travel from miles to hear him speak, and he is like also very proud though. So I guess his only sin at the time is kind of pride. He reflects on his own talent and his own purity with some level of vanity. Anyway, this kind of virtue, this pride does not last for long, because what happens is another monk arrives at the monastery. He is said to, I think he's supposed to never leave the confines of the monastery, and another people come there to see him speak, and another monk comes into the monastery who is a young boy. Now, in the film version of The Monk, the 2011 film with Vincent Cassel, directed by Dominic Moll, it's a French film, but also still filmed in Spanish locations. Great film. This monk that arrives is wearing the most hideous fucking mask you have ever seen. It's like a porcelain doll mask, and he has these weird eyes that kind of pierce through you. They're like white eyes with just a black dot in the middle, like just a pupil. They really stare you out. It's so freaky. It's kind of strapped up at the back. It's got like a sort of I don't know, like a Victorian hospital feel about it. It's just really horrible. And anyway, in the book and the film, it turns out that this monk further down the line is actually a woman, Matilda, who is that she's kind of in love with Ambrosio and wants to get really close to him, and she's snuck into the monastery in the disguise as a boy. Now, in a book, you can get away with that shit. In a film, you can't, because usually quite obvious to tell the difference between a boy and a girl. So they bring in this mask thing, which I think is such a good addition. It really makes the film. It's the image of the film is this kind of horrific, hideous mask just staring, and it always the character always kind of appears in the corner of a shot and just kind of looms and lurks, really, really piercing. But then in the film, when they take the mask off, it's a beautiful woman played by the Belgian actress Deborah Francois. And in the book, she's beautiful too. She is Matilda, who actually kind of really strikes a chord with Ambrosio, because she reminds him of some painting of the Virgin Mary, which he's really sort of enamored with. Anyway, Ambrosio's really pissed. He's like, I can't believe you've done that. You're gonna have to go. And then he gets bitten by a snake in his rose garden, Garden of Eden, much right. In the film, it's a centipede that bites him, which I think is kind of cooler, even though it's not as biblical. There's something about a centipede, like, I really like centipedes. They're very creepy, and it's a giant centipede. It bites him, and he's like gonna die basically. But Matilda comes and sucks out the poison. Now, in the film, as she sucks out the poison, they kind of engage in this weird sex act that you're not sure if it's a dream or not. She effectively like rapes him while he's in his coma. Really, he's not quite sure what's going on. In the book, it's very different. She sucks out the poison. She says she's dying, and kind of begs him to have sex with her, which he does. He gives in. Either way, they end up fucking, and he has broken his vows. He's fallen, and he feels very, very bad about that. However, it also releases in him an urge. It's something that was kind of held in before. He's now his sexuality is free to run amok, and he quickly gets bored of Matilda, and his next sights are on a young virginal girl who is seen as the kind of height of virtue and propriety. She's on the verge of being betrothed to this kind of young cavalier dude, Lorenzo. Anyway, the monk Ambrosio has other ideas, and he kind of confides in Matilda, who is willing to help him. She's like, I'll help you seduce this girl. So what she does, she takes him down into this crypt where she's been liaising with a demon slash the devil, I guess. And she says, look, I know black magic. I'm going to help you to seduce slash rape this girl. So she gives him this magic bough of like a magic branch that can open any door. And he goes to the girl's house. He opens the door, and he gets in a bedchamber. Now, in the film, he uses the branch to kind of put her into some sort of like sexual trance where she's willing to have sex with him under this influence. But in the book, it's very, very different. Either way, her mother interrupts them, and Ambrosio murders the mom, which is like another crime to add to his many list of crimes. And he in the book, he kidnaps Antonia, the girl, and keeps her in a crypt where he can basically do whatever he wants to her. He drugs her so that she's kind of like dead, basically, and he takes her to a crypt. So there's a kind of weird necro feel about that too. Keeps her in a subterranean crypt, and then wakes her up and is free to then rape her, which he does. He is caught, though, by the Inquisition, and that sort of brings us up to where the extract is. Now, there's something else too. In both the film and the book, it is revealed that the Elvira, who's the mother of Antonia, is actually Ambrosio's mother, and Antonia is his sister. So, as well as killing his mum, he's also now raped his sister as well. Okay, so it's pretty full on in terms of depravity. Now, there's another side plot to this too. There's a character called Agnes who is in love with someone else, but she's been confined to a nunnery. Her and this lover tried to elope before, in the most ridiculous of ways. So, within her family, there was said to be the curse of a bleeding nun who would manifest. This ghost would manifest every 5 years. This kind of pissed off nun ghost who would emerge as a bleeding nun and scare the shit out of everyone. So Agnes decides that she's been held kind of captive by a family who don't want her to elope with this dude Raymond. So she decides what she's going to do on the night of the nun. The night of the nun, she dresses up as the nun, the ghost. She doesn't think it's real, and goes around the castle like, ooh, scaring the shit out of everyone, just as a bleeding nun. The only problem is the bleeding nun turns out to be real, and Raymond, who's outside waiting for Agnes in his carriage, accidentally lets in the real fucking ghost who causes absolute havoc, tips over his cart, curses him for days, and it all goes tits up. Agnes ends up in a convent. She then ends up getting pregnant, though, from Raymond. They're communicating by notes. Ambrosio, our favourite monk, he finds one of their notes and's like, turning you into the prioress, who then, even though Agnes begs him for mercy, he's like, fuck you, you've done this, you should enjoy your punishment. Gives her note to the prioress, and she is then severely punished. Her baby is killed. She's like starved in a dungeon. She does survive in the book, but not in the film. Anyway, spoilers over. The Inquisition gets Ambrosio. Okay, the Inquisition gets Ambrosio, and he's fucked at this point. They know of his crimes. Okay, he's a fallen monk. He's lost everything, but Matilda still appears to him, and she's like, "I can get you out of this mess. Come with me. I have got a friend," and the friend turns out to be none other than Satan himself, the devil, and he's like, "Ha ha ha." Matilda is actually working for me. She's a demon that I sent to kind of bring about your fall. But I'll get you off the hook now. I'll get you away from the Inquisition. But we've got to make a deal. I want your soul. I want your soul. Give up all chance of repentance, of salvation, and I'll get you out of this prison, this cell. He's going to be burned otherwise. So he's like, okay, whatever. I've got no other choice. And if that was me in that situation, I'd be thinking, well, do you know what? Yeah, he's going to send me to hell forever, but maybe I'll be able to make it sweet with him afterwards. And once I'm out of this cell, I can then start to maybe I'll make it up to God. Then maybe He will take me back after all. Maybe I can solve that problem later. At least I'm not going to be fucking burnt straight away. So I kind of get where he's coming from. He makes the deal. Satan picks him up and takes him out of the prison, and then we'll see what happens. Cause we're going to read the extract. So this is like the very last bit of the book. Okay, the whole book. So the devil takes him out of the prison and carries him to like a mountainous desert, and he's like, okay, I'm free now. What can we do? And the devil's like, no, you're not. You're never going to quit these mountains alive, okay? And he says, not quit these mountains alive, he exclaimed. Perfidious, what mean you? Have you forgotten our contract? The fiend answered by a malicious laugh. Our contract? Have I not performed my part? What more did I promise than to save you from your prison? Have I not done so? Are you not safe from the Inquisition? Safe from all but from me? Fool that you were to confide yourself to a devil. What? Why did you not stipulate for life and power and pleasure? Then all would have been granted. Now your reflections come too late. Miscreant, prepare for death. You have not many hours to live. So he's really rubbing the salt in the wounds there. He's like, you could have fucking asked for anything. I'm like a genie in a bottle. You got to rub me the right way, though. You got to ask for whatever you want. Okay, you got to ask for whatever you want. You should have made a better deal. You should have made a better bargain. And he's like, oh, great. Now I'm fucked. On hearing this sentence, dreadful were the feelings of the devoted wretch. He sank upon his knees and raised his hands towards heaven. The fiend read his intention and prevented it. What? She cried. What? She cried, darting at him a look of fury. Dare you still implore the Eternal's mercy? Would you feign penitence and again act an hypocrite's part? Villain, resign your hopes of pardon. Thus I secure my prey. So the monk's trying to like appeal to God at this moment, and Devil's like, not a chance, mate. You're mine. Give it up. Interesting though, isn't it, that the devil would do God's work? And I think this is something I find really hard to accept about religion. Is that like, why would the devil give a shit about punishing Ambrosio? He is literally doing God's work here. Why would he do that? Why would he not embrace Ambrosio with slightly hell-charred arms and welcome him into his evil army? Instead, he's doing God's work, which seems very strange to me. Anyway, as he said this, darting his talons into the monk's shaven crown. That's a great image, isn't it? The claws going into the head. He sprang with him from the rock, so he's so powerful he can just lift him up by his claws, his talons. The caves and mountains rang with Ambrosio's screams. I bet they did. The demon continued to soar aloft till reaching a dreadful height he released the sufferer. So he just literally picks him up and drops him. Headlong fell the monk through the airy waste. The sharp point of a rock received him, and he rolled from precipice to precipice. Still, till bruised and mangled, he rested on the river's banks. Life still existed in his miserable frame. But wow, well, that's pretty miraculous in itself. I think his head would have been crushed. Makes me think of that scene from Midsommar, where the old couple jump off the cliff and sort of the heads just crack open like watermelons. Pretty gross. I imagine that's what's happened here, but somehow he's still alive. So maybe it's Satan's power, like making him stay alive to suffer. He attempted in vain to raise himself. His broken and dislocated limbs refused to perform their office, nor was he able to quit the spot where he had first fallen. The sun now rose above the horizon. Its scorching beams darted full upon the head of the expiring sinner. Myriads of insects, this is the bit I like the best, myriads of insects were called forth by the warmth. They drank the blood which trickled from Ambrosio's wounds. He had no power to drive them from him, and they fastened upon his sores, darting their stings into his body, covered him with their multitudes, and inflicted on him tortures, the most exquisite and insupportable. So he's been eaten alive by insects, which is pretty gross. In the film, it's cool because they have crows peck at him, and you see the flesh on his back kind of get ripped away. That's pretty cool. The eagles of the rock tore his flesh piecemeal and dug out his eyeballs with their crooked beaks, kind of like a sharp spoon getting into the socket of the eye there and scooping it out like a yogurt, like a fromage frais. I like that image of the eagle's beaks. A burning thirst tormented him. He heard the river's murmur as it rolled beside him, but strove in vain to drag himself towards the sound. Blind, maimed, helpless, and despairing, venting his rage in blasphemy and curses, execrating his existence, yet dreading the arrival of death, destined to yield him up to greater torment. 6 miserable days did the villain languish. Can you imagine suffering like that? Thankfully, I can't, but I know that it is obviously a reality for people, even in the modern day, in wars and terrible situations. It's hard to imagine how your body would deal with it, how your body would cope with it, and I guess it doesn't. I guess the body just cuts out. Hopefully, you would hope that you kind of grow numb to it, or at least pass out or something. Very, very horrible. There's something reminds me a little bit of the Passion of the Christ scene here with the sort of Jesus, his own torment in that film. There's something very biblical about this, I think. On the 7th, so he lives for 6 days, which is 6, the number of the devil. On the 7th, a violent storm arose. The winds in fury rent up rocks and forests. The sky was now black with clouds, now sheeted with fire. The rain fell in torrents. It swelled the stream. I love the kind of I mean, I would call it green. I'm really interested in the idea of green or dark green Satanism. The idea of nature being a kind of a satanic church itself, a church of the devil. I think that's really interesting, and that's really evoked here. You've got the mountain, the rugged, sharp, harsh mountains, and then all the other weathers as well. And also, of course, the insects and the birds themselves are all part of that landscape. Um, Anyway, the rain fell in torrents. It swelled the stream. The waves overflowed their banks. They reached the spot where Ambrosio lay, and when they abated, carried with them into the river the corpse of the despairing monk. Okay, so I think a really powerful image of death there. It doesn't get much better than that in terms of portraying death in literature. If anyone knows of a better literary death, obviously post something in the comments, and also post in the comments anyway. Let me know if you like these videos. Are they good? Do you enjoy them? Do you not? Are they boring? Do let me know. Again, these are not going to be edited. They're just a way of for me to kind of interact, but hopefully you do find it interesting. And I'm going to try and pick extracts that are, like I said, a little bit unusual, a little bit off the beaten track as much as possible. And yeah, I'm enjoying making these, so I'm going to keep doing it every week, every Wednesday, 9 o'clock p.m. sharp UK time. They're going to be up on YouTube. But yeah, do check out my website, www.enterthedank.com, for the goodies that are on there and for more information about me, Stanley J. Winter. I've been your host. Take care. I'll see you next week.